And for more on this, I'm joined by Christian Leuprecht, political science professor at the Royal Military College in Kingston, Ontario. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
All right, so what is the precedent for this type of review?
Well, I would say that this is highly unusual in the history of Governor Generals to basically have to revisit the way a Governor General behaves. The Governor General is the dignified representation of the Crown in Canada as the Vice Regal of Canada. And as such, individuals chosen for this position usually represent in their previous pattern of behavior that dignity. And I think part of the interest here is that Madame Payette, for all her qualifications notwithstanding, both her personal behavior and her leadership style were known before her appointment.
All right, and the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, has said that the Trudeau government should investigate the allegations against the Governor General. Do you think that's the right call?
Yeah, so we have the Privy Council Office as the department that is essentially the Prime Minister's department running the investigation. Since this deals with essentially an element of the civil service, that would likely be the right approach to take. I think what Mr. Singh is hinting at is the issues that I just raised about some of the matters on this appointment that might have been known beforehand, as well as the fact that this appointment was in a way out of order, given that it would have been technically by convention time for someone from either the Atlantic Canada or Western Canada to be appointed to this position. And so I think what Mr. Singh is hinting at, that this is a cabinet that is heavily dominated by individuals from Toronto and Montreal, and that perhaps those relationships took precedent over convention in terms of the appointment of the next Governor General.
Now, is it possible for the Governor General to be fired?
So it would be extremely unusual, and I think you would have to see much more egregious wrongdoing. We had seen a situation like this with regards to a lieutenant governor in Quebec recently. It is what is more likely to happen is that either individuals part ways, that the Governor General might get appointed as an ambassador, for instance, elsewhere, or that there might be a reorganization of the office that essentially removes the Governor General as the CEO of the office, makes the Governor General the representative component of the office, and entrusts the entire administration of the office to a senior civil servant, which the government had sort of tried to do in the way it set up the office for Madame Payette, but the current organizational structure clearly appears not to be working based on the testimony that is currently public.
Mm-hmm. And this just adds on to the issues being faced by the Trudeau government right now. How bad does this look on the Liberal Party?
Well, I think the concern is more that we have a minority government that might need to make that might find itself, for instance, in a difficult situation in Parliament if there were, for instance, a confidence vote or so, or if it were to decide to prorogue Parliament. And in those situations, we need the Governor General to make ultimately the decision whether, for instance, to call an election or to let the prorogation stand. And so if you have a Governor General who is facing controversy, then that reduces the legitimacy of that Governor General, which then might compromise the ability of that Governor General to act in the best interests of the country, or at least be perceived to be acting in the best interests of the country. And so this is why it's particularly important with the minority government to get these matters resolved expeditiously.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your insight. From Kingston, Ontario, Royal Military College security expert Christian Leuprecht. Thanks again for your time, Christian.
My pleasure.